So you want to be a video game passport bro? Let's talk. Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Guys, there's a movement out there called the Passport Bros, right? And because of that, a friend was asking me about my travels, in past years that I've had through Southeast Asia, Mexico, Central America, and what have you. And, when I was traveling, there wasn't this movement whatsoever, right? I was just a bachelor having fun, and I love to travel, get to know different places, right? And as I'm looking into what he was saying, there's this movement out there called Passport Bros, where there's men traveling to different countries, whether it's Southeast Asia or, Latin America, Colombia, Venezuela, because they want to date there because they're not happy with the dating scene in the US, what the standards are now for the dating scene here. Now, when I was doing it, it was, starting like in 2012, so you're, 9 years ago, around there. And let me tell you guys, the way he was saying it, I had to kind of ease him down, because guys, if you don't know how to talk to women, if you don't know how to talk to the opposite sex, it doesn't matter what planet you're in, right? It doesn't matter what country you go to, you're still going to have the same struggles. When it comes to dating, at least for my friend, his biggest problem is the fear of rejection, which is most men's fears out there, right? If you just sit at home and play video games all the time, and I'm not saying that you out there do, right? But I can only tell you what my friend is going through. And that's been his life. Now, he's about 31, 32 years old and has never actually been in a long-term relationship. Like, he had a couple of relationships in high school. Then he got his heart broken when he was like 23 years old. And after that, he was just pretty much sour because the girl cheated on him. And that really affected his mindset, right? He's a good guy. He's a decent guy. Not the best looking guy, not the most confident guy. But my advice to him was to first develop his skills, right? And if you're afraid of rejection, it's going to be very hard for you to be successful in the dating scene because you have to get rejected. I was single for over a decade, right? And let me tell you, did I date a lot? Yes, I did, right? I've dated and, had relationships with pretty much every ethnicity that exists here in the US, probably except for one or two, right? But, Black, white, Latina, Asian, I've dated Indian, of course, Mexican, South American, and the gamma of people that are here in the US. But it's a numbers game, right? I got rejected so many times. And if I had to put it in numbers, let's say out of 100 people that I would approach, right? Maybe 14, 15. So it's like a volume game, if you will, right? When you're dating, because even once you get the date, you may not be compatible. Maybe you start to get to know each other, and after 3 months, you find out there's a deal breaker for both of you. But you have to take those shots, right? You have to be confident enough to ask people out. And a lot of the way this is presented is like if you're just going to show up to any country and women are just going to be raining on you. And that's not the case at all. You still have to go through the motions. You still have to approach somebody. You still have to have the social skills in order to engage with people. Now, if you're going to go to Bangkok, right, or if you're going to go to any red light district, yeah, it's going to be like that, but you better have money, right? It just depends what you're trying to do. But just getting a passport and flying to another country is not going to fix your woes. And don't believe a lot of these stereotypes that both men and women, because now there's sour American women talking bad about, foreign women in other countries, calling them desperate or uneducated, which is not the case, guys. Let me tell you, when you go to other countries, and if you haven't traveled, you should, right? One of the best ways that I filter my friendships, I ask people, where have you traveled? Where have you been? Right? Then we have something to talk about because they have different perspectives. when you listen to these people talk, it's like, oh, these desperate women, they don't even know how to speak the language, this and that and the other. Guys, nothing could be further from the truth. Look at what happens to foreign students from Asia, from Latin America when they come here. Why is it that they succeed? I'm talking first generation. Why do they succeed when they come here in our education system? Because it's way more advanced. And I could tell you, when I've studied here in the US and I've studied abroad, and the difference is about 2 to 3 years, specifically from kindergarten to 12th grade. That's the difference. In other countries, you have to go to private school if you want a good education. And even some public education systems require more of their students than they do here in the US. Yes, somebody might speak broken English for whatever reason, but that's not a measure of their intelligence. At least they speak 2 languages. You have people here in the US, native here, that can't speak proper English. I struggle with English, but at least it's my second language. I know people that don't know how to say basic phrases, right? Everything's monosyllabic because they don't know any other way to speak, and they graduated high school because there's a very low bar here, at least in California, to graduate school. In other countries, it's a lot higher. So don't expect all the stereotypes when you go somewhere else. As a matter of fact, when you go other places, even if you do meet somebody, they may not want to leave, right? Think about that, because their life is better in whatever country they're in than your life. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, and they're having a great time in their country, right? I know a lot of people from other countries that like to come and visit, but they don't want to work here. They don't want to live here. They hate the crime, right? They hate people's attitudes. They hate the violence, right? You'll hear people from Singapore come here all the time and say, "Man, I thought the U.S. was a rich country," when they see our infrastructure. So don't believe everything that you hear, guys. Now, let me tell you, I'm going to share my experiences with you. But first of all, let me tell you, self-development, and be the person you can be. Improve yourself, right? Because if you're looking for your dream person, your dream partner, they deserve, right, the dream back. Whenever I tell somebody, well, what is your dream date or your dream person? Who do you want to marry? And they'll describe them to me. And then I ask them, why would they choose you, right? What is it special about you that they're going to want to choose? And if you don't have those things that your dream person might want, and it's not always money, guys. It's not always money. There's other, personality skills that you need to develop, and confidence is one of them. And if your biggest fear is talking to the opposite sex, getting a passport is not going to fix that, right? Now, with that said, I'm going to share my experiences with you of the different places that I've been, right? I know a lot of you, like myself, right? I have the Asian princess for a reason. I mean, even though I dated a lot of people, right? I do have my preferences, and after dating the people that I dated, I found that I was more attracted to Asian women. Just in general, that's what I liked. And I went to different places, and met different kinds of people, and just checked out different societies to see how compatible I was going to be with different people. Some of it was just to see the places and see the sights. But for example, let's say you just want to party, okay? If you just want to party and have a good time, well, Thailand is the place for you. And there's 2 places that I recommend, right? One of them is Bangkok, but even more than Bangkok. And there's plenty. The Soul Cowboys is fun. The Go-Go Bar too. But these places here, right, are pretty decent. But I always recommend that you go either with a friend or somebody that you know there. Don't go on a dating site and think that the person on the other side is telling you the truth, right? Always go where you're familiar with somebody there. Like if you have a friend from Thailand, you can ask them, they can guide you, that kind of stuff. But even though I had fun in Bangkok, Pattaya was, whoa. Pattaya is paradise, right? And don't be afraid of all this stuff that they say. Oh, the lady boys and what have you. No, it's very open, right? It's very open. If you want lady boys, if that's your thing, you can ask for them. They'll come out, and they'll be very forward with you. Nobody's fooling you out there, right? Nobody is going to fool you, and you'll see a lot of expat. You'll see a lot of Americans out there, and it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. It's not cheap, especially if you like the good stuff. You know what I mean? But it's great, right? China, believe it or not, has a pretty good nightlife. Now, in China, depending on your age, right, especially if you're looking to date, right, if you're getting more serious, depending on where you go, there might be something cultural. They have something called leftover women, or I'm paraphrasing, something like that, where it's like if somebody's divorced, they might be okay with you dating, or somebody, it's a single mom, something like that, or somebody just never got married, they might be okay with it, as opposed to, somebody that's very young and, is never married. It depends on the person, right? You really need to talk to them. Again, you have to have those conversational skills. They're just not going to come up to you and, just like they show on these videos, that the guys just show up and just women are just climbing on them. That's not the way it works. You have to go to you have to go to the bars, you have to go to the restaurants, you have to go to the different places. Karaoke is always one of my favorites, by the way. And you have to meet people, man. You have to be able to spend the time there. You're not going to go there for a week. And the other thing is you need to be prepared, especially if you go to China or you go to Japan. There are some places that there's no English. So you need to know somebody that speaks the language, or at least you need to learn basic communication, right, to go there. But again, I never had a bad time in China. It was always fun, right? It was always fun. I'm a little bit older, so it was a little easier for me because, the people that I was hanging around with, were older folks. And I could see some of the younger guys kind of struggling there. It really didn't matter what they were from, but, it was more a cultural thing. But again, most of the interactions I had in China were pretty great. I can't complain. Now, Japan is a very clean city, right? You have to be ready for a different kind of attitude. People are polite, right? But there's places where you can't go if you're a foreigner. They just won't take you. Even the red light district, if that's your thing, they'll tell you no foreigners, right? It just depends where you go. So again, you have to know somebody. That's always the best thing to do. If you're going out there to party, if you're just going for the maid cafes and stuff like that, you're not looking to meet anybody. That's one thing if you're just going out there for video games. But if you're going out there to date, to think that you're going to meet somebody from Japan and fall in love and all that stuff, oh, that's a whole different ball of wax, right? It's a whole different ball of wax, and it's a lot harder than people make it seem. It's just not that simple, right? So again, you have to develop those skills. You have to be prepared. Do your research. I'm not saying not to go. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying be prepared. If you're not ready to talk to people, if you're not outgoing, it's better to develop those skills first, because that's a struggle. It doesn't matter what planet you go to, right? Now, one of the best places that I found, guys, this is just an amazing place, a lot of great people, a beautiful city, great dating scene. Most people speak English. Not all the locals, okay? Not all the locals are going to be very appreciative of you. And this goes for all these places that I'm mentioning to you. If you're loud, if you're a loud person, if you like to scream, if you try to make your points by raising your voice, none of these places are going to be friendly to you, right? You're going to rub somebody the wrong way. So that is one tip that I have for you. Do not raise your voice at people if you get frustrated. You have to be patient. But man, Singapore is just a beautiful, beautiful city. A lot of great people, a lot of beautiful ladies out there. Again, they're not begging for you to come rescue them or anything like that. This is a first world city. A lot of Europeans move here, right? A lot of Europeans move here. Not only here, but also Malaysia because it's a great environment. People leave you alone. They're relatively safe, and it's a great nightlife, guys. And let me tell you, and let me just bring this up for you here. Kuala Lumpur is often overlooked, right? It really is. It is such a great city. Um, there's a lot of Hindu beautiful ladies out there. There's a lot of Malaysian beautiful ladies. There are a lot of Chinese ladies out there, and there's people from other. There's a lot of Filipino ladies out there too. And some of the base places to go are actually the malls. There's a lot of people meet, and there's also great nightlife, great restaurants. Guys, it's a beautiful city. You know, that's what I made. That's why I made it my base of operations. And again, guys, nobody needs to be rescued. They don't need you, right? I can give you an example. When I worked in Kuala Lumpur, when I was out there, you know, I made $1,000 working online most of the time. Made $1,000. I made $1,500. Well, my expenses for the apartment divided by four, so it's like the apartment was about 750. So you divide that by four, so like 200. You know, sometimes $300 depending how much food we got and stuff. That was my expense, and then that was it. The rest of the money was just to go out and have a great time. And let me tell you, for the prices, I mean, we had like $1 Thai restaurant out there where we just shared dishes. We would have, you know, the local pubs out there. Alcohol is a little bit more expensive because it's a Muslim country, but it's still, you know, decent enough with that kind of salary. Now you can get better jobs out there. I'm just telling you what I did on a budget. And the only reason that I left there after all that time is because my contract had ran out, and you know I need to come back to the U.S. I have family here and other stuff, but you know, other than that, if I didn't have any family, I had no other responsibilities, I would have just stayed there, man. If I didn't have grandkids, I probably would have never left, right? Just bouncing between Kuala Lumpur and Singapore. And again, it's all what you're looking for. Now, there's, if you go to the Philippines, two of the best places, right? Two of the best places that I had fun in was Makati, right? Especially Cyber City. I rented an apartment in Makati, and man, I was absolutely blown away. My apartment was about $500 a month. It had a pool, a gym, centrally located. I could walk to the mall every day. I was close to the shops. I was close to the bar scene. Now you can spend a lot of money in Makati. You can really can. If you go further out the city, it'll be cheaper. But if you want to be around other people of you know, not only Filipinos, but of other countries like Koreans and Americans and you know, people from Europe, it's usually Makati where you're going to find them. And it's a great time, guys, if you want to travel out there. The other place, if you want to go a little bit further south, is Cebu City. It is amazingly fun, guys. Now, all these places I'm telling you about, if you're Hispanic, you know, might feel more comfortable in the Philippines because there's places in the Philippines where they speak Chavacano, which is a form of Spanish. And if they actually talk to you in Chavacano, you will understand what they're saying. And it's a different area, but I'm just letting you know that there's some words that you might be able to communicate, but everybody in the Philippines speaks English pretty much. So you're not going to be lost in the Philippines. Guys, these are all fun things to do, but this is not a magic bullet. It is not a solution for your personal development, right? If you're having trouble dating here, you know, it depends the reason. If you're just shy, if you're not able to communicate with other people, develop those skills. If the reason you want to go outside the country is because you don't like the culture in the US and you don't, you know, they don't align with your values, you know, I get it, right? But if you're just going out because you think that's going to solve your problems of being an introvert and trying to get a relationship that way, I'm warning you right now, that might not be the best way to go, because the same problems you have here, you're going to have overseas. And the best thing to do, guys, is always to work on yourself. Be the best version of yourself. Educate yourself in whatever you're lacking. Make yourself uncomfortable, right? Make yourself uncomfortable and grow as a person before you decide to go into any of these places, right? It might mean that you have to, play less hours of video game, but take that personal development class, right? One of the things that I recommend to people who are shy is take a sales class, take a body language reading class, are a couple of the classes that I recommend. Another one is public speaking. If you do those three things, guys, let me tell you, your personal development will grow. Being comfortable talking to people is the main thing. And don't be afraid of rejection, right? It's just like an RPG. You need to level up and you're going to lose some battles. Are you going to have fun out there? Probably, if you do the right things. But the best thing to do is stay true to yourself. And remember to always grow. All right, guys, I will catch you on the next one. I hope that was helpful to you. If you like these kind of videos, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that like button. If you stop by, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button. It really means a lot for the channel. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.
New videos every week. Make sure you don't miss out and subscribe.